You want me to just go ahead and start? Okay, so I don't have a ton of stuff to go over today because we did such a huge update last time on updating the highlight items that are on the project list today. The pavement preservation project where we will be repaving Pacific Polaris, Taurus, and Ocean Lake Way, where Ocean Lake Way will be our test strip. Those bids went out and they're due on August 3rd. This is new, the RTU on top of the convention center.
Okay, but on the ones that are already sort of, we're getting that council the 8th, the fiscal plan for those.
I don't know if we'll be ready.
We don't.
Yeah.
That was original, I just wanted to say, that was our original goal was to get council on the 8th, but if we're not, that's fine.
Okay, yeah, I don't know yet. I want to see them first. The RTU, the large RTU unit on the convention center is failing. And it has already had a Band-Aid put on it that I believe cost $9,000, I think is what George said. And he had a bid a couple months ago and it was like a certain number of weeks out, and now it's 40 weeks out to get it, and it's $140,000.
Can you tell me again what that was?
It's the HVAC unit on top, it's the large, there's five.
There are 5 or 4.
There's five, I asked, there's 5 on top, and he said this is the large unit, there's 1 large and then 4 small. And this one, it's 40 weeks out, but because of the expense, Jenny and I talked about it, and George agreed, we need to put it out to bid. It's a custom built unit. It's a carrier unit, but probably others other than Advanced Heating who have been doing the maintenance on it will be able to do a custom build on that as well.
What's wrong? It's not running at all.
It's not running, no. And so like his concern is with the summer, it's gonna get, it might get too hot in that room.
Sure.
And then I'd be more concerned about the winter time, but no pipes run up there, so pipes aren't going to freeze. And the other units do take care of the area somewhat, except for when the room is closed off and it's just its own, then it's its own little room. That's when it becomes too hot or it becomes too cold.
See what it feels like at council.
Well, that's open, the house are open.
So what does RTU stand for? Does, do you know?
I don't know what RTU stands for. I've never known. I've never even thought to look it up. Yeah,
I just-
maybe something transferred.
Remote terminal unit.
Remote terminal
Yeah.
unit.
Oh, thank you.
And
And
then,
we just found out about this, what, like 2 days ago?
yeah. The other units were built at the same time, so we brought that up too, they're all probably going to be failing, are failing, and George said, yeah, that's what Advanced then has come back and said in the last day or two. So capital facilities plan will address that and take a look at all of the other units and be able to prioritize.
So you just said 140, and where is the money coming from? To replace it, repair it.
We'll cross that bridge when we know exactly how much it's gonna cost,
Okay.
and I'll get with Angie when we have the amount,
Private 301, by capital. private
capital expenditures.
Say that again.
Probably the 301, our capital fund, but I mean, that's,
Yeah.
Angie will ultimately let me know if there's another sidebar that will take care of that, but that's
Yeah.
not from the capital fund expenses.
I guess the real question is, we actually have the money that we can dip into.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
did
yeah.
ask her that.
Yeah.
And then I asked George what he thinks that the smaller ones would cost, and he said they're half the size, so he thinks they'll be half the price. I don't know if that's what an HVAC person will bid it as.
Sure, that's not how they bid it.
But so the capital facilities plan will help us prioritize with which one needs to be first. There would be a cost savings to doing more than one at a time because the lift is very expensive to rent. So that is something that we would maybe try to do 2 or 3 of the small ones at a time.
But you get a better price if you put more work together for them too. How old are they?
George said there's a 6-year lifespan on them, and he said these are 5 or 5.5 years old. So they're there.
Are the environment's really tough on them?
Exactly, yep. The Chinook Park bathroom
Well, can I say
hookups,
something
yes.
before we change subjects? What's going on with the soffits?
Yeah, Great Osborne is ready to go. They have the old scope to work off of, so it shouldn't take them long to just update that for this new one.
Going back out to bid?
More
You know,
clear.
we've been pushing that, the Grand Osborne's been, we've done a lot of them, and they're doing a lot.
They're doing a lot
And then
of work
Don has been out.
right now,
so.
and one of their guys is out, yeah. But they are, like, I talked to them about how the bids came back really high and really low with such a big spread between them. So they're really clarifying the instructions for the bid and what the work is that needs to be done. So that will help. The Chinook Park bathrooms, the hookups, the utility hookups, that bid is due back on 7/25. Nothing else about that.
Bathrooms are in September still?
Yeah.
Yep, so bathrooms will arrive in September, hookup will be done, dog park itself will open.
Starting next week.
Okay.
So I don't have an opening date, but it should be, I mean, it will be open within the next couple weeks, because it only takes, a week or two to install that, and then we'll have a grand opening, probably, it's towards the end of July, we'll probably have it in August, or grand opening middle to late August. We're
And
gonna
the
have
playground equipment will be here and not be here until November.
November,
And with the kids, we'll install probably then or in the next. year.
unless we have a really nice November.
Yeah.
So the dog park will have the water and all that?
Yes, the water fountain's being installed by the city, so Matt Tolbert was just waiting for the concrete pad to be poured, and then they're gonna be able to do that.
All right, cool.
So you said the bathroom should be complete and you gave a date
It's going to be delivered in September, but there's not an exact date yet.
delivered, okay?
Yeah, yep. And then if they say it's a 1-day install, but I'm giving 3 days to the contractor that's gonna do the install, just because things happen, yeah,
You spell things with an S.
yeah. People get sick, things happen, anything. Okay. The bids that are being prepared right now, and actually, this is late breaking news, the hydrant replacement project, 2 late breaking news on this. I was totally wrong. We are doing 12. Frank, you were right. There is a cycle that we do these on. We are doing 12 this year. And then the other thing is that the plans and the specs came back, and I sent it to Jenny. She and I are meeting on Monday. We're gonna plug in due dates for that, so that is going to go out to bid next week.
Are we gonna flush that system before we replace it?
Yeah, we're gonna stick with the same flushing schedule.
It's the same flushing schedule,
Yeah.
you're not changing the schedule, I think that's all being incorporated into the 12 hydrants we replaced, so.
Are we gonna get to all the hydrants this year?
For flushing,
Yeah,
they are all on the schedule.
okay. Thanks.
And I think that what you had made the mistake on is that we knew they were flushing them all, but not replacing them all.
I had asked somebody, are we doing all the hydrants?
And that's probably what, that's probably what your information got back to you.
Yeah, well, and it was like, anyway, I'm not gonna make it easy, it doesn't matter. We know now that it's 12. The projects that we're talking about, there have been a lot of people asking about the roundabout. So
Oh, wait,
we,
you want to do the radio tower?
did I miss? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, the radio tower. We're rebidding the radio tower electrical piece. The bids are due for that on August 4th. Thank you for your help with that. I know Marty really appreciates it as well. So those are due on August 4th. And that's for the electrical piece. The shed is ordered. And the permits for the shed obviously have come in because the shed is ordered. We haven't scheduled the actual dish and antenna install yet. We are just waiting for the contractor to be ready to schedule their work, and they said they'll be ready to start in early August, so. That's going to be exciting to get done. Okay, roundabout. So, Sean Pease and I went out and looked at the roundabout, and yes, it desperately needs to get done. He's working on pricing right now to see if it can be something that's completed by Public Works. And if not, I can just copy and paste what needs to be done into bid documents and send that out, so we'll be able to get working on that one. And based off of Sean's pricing, we'll have an estimate for it too, which will be nice. We'll already have that estimate.
I've got a meeting with Sean, by the way, to go over that.
Oh, good.
So,
Okay. The fresh waterways updates that I have, we've been talking about, I've been talking about these a lot, so. The IAVMP have been working with Anchor QEA. About what ecology has requested be updated in our IAVMP. And it's a lot. And basically, it is what it is. These updates need to be made if we're gonna use the IAVMP for requesting grants, and that's really the purpose of it. So I am going to go back to Aquatechnics, who wrote it for us, and ask them to make the revisions. Prior to doing that, I wanted to go through the scope that the city, this was before my time, that the city sent to Aquatechnics to make sure that they. Well, I wanted to see if they did or didn't do all of the work that was requested of them, like maybe we didn't ask them to do everything that was in the ecology guidance, but right there in the top of the scope, they did everything that was in the scope, but right there in the top of the scope, it basically says per Department of Ecology guidance. And so based on Anchor QEA's guidance to the city at this point, Aquatechnics did not fulfill that, so I'm going to go back to them and ask them to make the updates to the IAVMP.
For free, right?
Yes,
That's the idea.
yep,
Yeah.
I'm gonna make that call tomorrow. I just wanted to have all my ducks in a row on the scope first. So, yep. And the freshwater waste treatment plan is going to council on Monday. There's. The map went out to you guys and the plan. For that, Doug Dorley will be there to answer questions at council on Monday as well. If there's any, we sent an email to council asking if there were any questions ahead of time to send them, and then we would read them as well at the meeting so that everybody was able to hear them. If you know, anything between now and then, let me know too, and I will get them to him.
The information that you sent out to talk about what chemicals are gonna be used in that treatment.
Doug will have that
Yeah,
information.
He'll have that, yeah.
You could just ask that question and we can get a spread, if that's the question you want to ask ahead of time as
Yep.
part of it. We'll get all that information and give it to you.
Basically, he uses the same chemicals year after year. What he does not use is any type of glyphosate. But the other list, and I forgot.
One about diquat.
But I
If
think
that's being
diploid is on the list. I'm,
List of
but I'm
uses.
not that sure, but I'm pretty sure.
That's why I did not want to answer those
Yeah.
questions without you here.
Yeah, exactly, same.
And especially if people start asking proper questions about the properties of these chemicals, that's beyond my knowledge.
Yeah, mine too, but I'll ask him to bring all of that, and if I can see if he can provide it too.
Thanks.
So if I can, Frank, it sounds like you're concerned about diploid, and I'm curious why.
It's not all that safe to use. You know, just like glyphosate is not safe to use. So I'd like to know what we're putting in the water, so.
Okay.
I think that's a fair question.
Okay.
I can get that.
Thanks.
The capital facilities plan, we're still waiting for them to send back they accepted our contract language. All of the important pieces that we were pushing back on, so that's great, they sent it back signed. But then they forgot to attach appendix A, which is the ARPA language, which is really easy stuff. And then our contact at Amoresco has been on vacation, so I don't have that back yet, so I'm waiting for that. And Jenny's waiting for the business license, so as soon as we have that, we will schedule and get going on the capital facilities plan. I've updated Public Works at our Public Works staff meeting earlier this week that they should start expecting phone calls in the next week or two from Amoresco. They're gonna start, I told them about the process that we've talked about. They'll start with on the phone interviews and then they'll be out in person, so they are expecting to know that that's going to be happening in the very near future.
Their schedule still 3 months roughly complete.
Yeah, I mean, they said start in July, finish the end of December 1st of the new year, so it's still July. I'm gonna hold them to it because they're holding up the paperwork.
Good.
On their end.
And then the last thing, I just didn't know if I could give a quick update on, the speakers, Catherine Sprague, Councilmember Sprague asked about crosswalks being done to Warhol Wild. And you didn't plan to give an update on our time schedule.
Yeah, so they're shipping on the 21st, and until they actually ship and we can track it, we won't know when they're gonna be here.
Maybe we wanted it
and
before
when,
Hog
so-
Wild, but
Right.
it's just a matter of their shipping.
Yeah.
Concert.
Yeah, and I'll request from Rollins, I'll make that request of Dustin, hey, like, if there's any chance they're gonna get here and you can get them in, please do it. I'll definitely make that request.
So they're supposed to ship tomorrow then,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's my anniversary too.
Thank you.
Thank you. 22 years.
Wow, that's good.
Did I just age myself to everybody in the room?
From my perspective, she's young.
Okay, crosswalk.
So that's all that I had, but we can throw it open to council questions. Councilmember Scott, I don't know if you had any, I know it's always hard on the Zoom meeting. Hopefully you can hear us well. Because
Yeah.
obviously
You can hear extremely well. Can you hear me okay?
I hear absolutely nothing, so.
What, now I didn't hear you. What was that?
We were on a meeting earlier today where we could hear absolutely nothing. So-
Nothing. That's true. That is very true. No, I am just really excited to get the capital facilities plan underway. And I know you probably are too, because that'll give us a lot of answers. We fought real hard to get that done. So I'm just excited to see that coming to a head finally.
Dunes Trail, about 25% done.
Yep.
Unless they've increased that since we last spoke.
Well, they have, but we won't have like a percentage in writing until the next payout, which will be the end of July.
Right, so anyway, that's moving along, and Tesla is about, I think they are close to being about a third of the way down with the Tesla charging center. So just keeping everyone informed of that, and then once they actually get that ready, we'll do a ribbon cutting for that, so.
So are we in the process of putting in 2 charging, one here and one at the convention?
No, we've applied for a grant to do one here, but that one is entirely being paid for by Tesla.
Okay. There's so many things going on sometimes.
Yeah, no, we have applied for a grant to get a charging station here, that we are looking at that would set up that would complement it for cars that are at the library. And, might be one of those things that caters more to Ocean Shores residents, the charging station at the library, and isn't the catering to outer town tourists, it just entirely depends. But ideally, if we could have 2 of those, that'd be perfect, because, it will fill up there, especially when we have large events.
that can be a supercharger for the library.
This is a Sarah Bisson question. I don't know. It's smaller. I think there's only 4 charging stations we're looking at for the library. Right here. It's
Well-
definitely smaller than the Tesla charger.
Yeah, I'm just saying time wise, supercharger, you get charged up in an hour roughly.
Yeah, I don't know the nature of the grant. I don't know the grant with light departments. But I can follow up with Sarah Bisson and find out.
Hopefully it is, because that's the most useful. You don't want it to take 6 hours to charge.
You didn't like your trip to WSU, or you went to Portland, or you got stuck there for?
Yeah, that was, well, there was enough people, it wasn't bad going, but on the way home, everybody's driving home on Sunday, so you'd have to wait for a charger to open.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And that was exactly my kind of concern, because everyone will rush to there, but then locals are gonna want to use a charging station too. So if we had 2 things that complemented each other in addition to one at Quinault, that would be helpful, so. Yeah, they do have a charging station at Quinault, the resorts,
Yeah, a couple, 3 there. I think.
Yeah.
I'm so stuck in the 80s when it comes to charging stations. When you use them, are they free? Do you pay for them?
Pay for them with a card.
Okay,
Unless you got a contract like Daryl, when he bought his.
You got a Tesla.
Early Tesla, where you got free charging for life.
really?
Yeah,
That's pretty.
they don't offer that anymore, but.
Well, and I would think a supercharging station would make sense for a community because you only have so many charging stations and eventually so many people may have cars that need them, so.
And the Tesla charging stations changed, because originally you could only charge Tesla cars on these.
Yeah. Any car, yeah.
So they changed this.
Frank,
Yeah.
one of the things that I heard, whether it's still true or not, but the original Teslas that were sold when they were first made, that the free charging for a lifetime went with the car. So you
Right,
can
it
still
did.
get free charging if you buy an older one.
Yes, yeah, that, Daryl bought that used, and that came with the car.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
pretty,
Resale forever.
so, he doesn't mind taking. What was it, 10 hours to get back from Pullman, but it was all for free, right?
So it's that level of patience they don't possess, right? But-
I think that electric cars, this is just a comment, not appropriate to anything, but electric cars, I think, are not quite ready for prime time in most of the country. They're actually driving a coal-fired car. And I'm not sure how environmentally sound that decision is. We in Washington, of course, have hydroelectric. That's a whole different kettle of fish.
Any other questions from council before I wrap it up? Well, thanks everyone for coming. Thank you.